welcome to another Ramble Radio, motherfucker.
Also, radio.
It is video. Is it, though? Eddie, are you just saying that? Are you just talking out of it?
I see you.
That's true.
And you're not in the room with me.
Well,
I think it's
what
video.
else could it be? What else could it be then?
I think it's video. And how else would we get tens of hits of plays on our videos
YouTube,
that we post
on
for the show?
Tube, on the Ramble Tube.
20s of views.
20s of views. This is Ramble Radio 429. You think it's just you and I.
Sure.
Filling up a black church with nothing but white people. Alt Right Cody is here.
Master stroke.
Master stroke, Cody. Filling up that black church
and then to give Kellyanne the marching orders to say 8,000 people.
8,000 people. Wow.
In a church.
In a church.
We always report the numbers correctly. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
That's
look at
Inauguration was what, 200,000?
To about
200,
300.
almost $250,000.
Yeah,
sure.
$250,000 at least.
You guys had 107,000 in New Jersey a couple weeks ago.
Right, right. It's just crazy numbers this guy keeps pulling out.
25,000 in the Bronx in a park that holds 3,000. Yeah.
Yes, that's who would have thought. There's only one man who can do all that, and he's doing it. It's
Alt Right Cody.
He's here.
Alt-Right
How have
Cody.
things been, Cody? What's happening?
Oh, nothing much since the Dallas Stars run ended in unspectacular fashion. I've just been sort of, nurturing my wounds of that.
Same. I have a smidge worse because I might be nursing two wounds.
Yeah.
Two of them. I had the joy of having two teams go deep into the playoffs, and now I might have the misery of having them both not come out with any trophy. So that's going to be the tough. And we'll know by the time this airs if I'm going to have a little bit of excitement and optimism or if it's but there it is.
You could also have the satisfaction that like potentially both sports are ending in like totally lopsided series ending against you.
That's true. That's very
Or you
true.
could just have a hockey team that makes it to the first round of the playoffs for 30 straight years and loses the first round of the playoffs. All but twice in their entire history.
I think one of our franchises has a more recent Stanley Cup, so
It's true.
Yeah.
That'd be yours, Eddie. That would be yours.
The Caps literally, I think they've been around for 49 years. I think they made the playoffs like 32 seasons.
Wow.
And all but two of those have resulted in first round exits.
Jeez.
And the other two, one was a Stanley Cup Finals loss in the late night, like '98, I think.
And the other was a win.
The other was a win.
I think
Every
that's
other time,
worth it. I think that's worth it because the other option is to be the Utah Jazz in the '90s, right? Where you go all the time, you go deep all the time, and you never do it.
Yeah.
Like at least you all did it. Like at least they could say, "Well, shit, we won one." Like that's.
Yeah, but do you feel that way? Because like the Braves had that rotation in the '90s, and they only got one World Series.
They would take that World Series over anything else.
That rotation should have had 3.
It should have,
World
but
Series.
you still are happy with the title. You
Right,
take
but
the
that's a once in a generation rotation or
But
two
they
generations
but
rotation.
You could also argue the Yankees lineup was once in a generation for those Yankees team that
it's
won.
just like that's.
I mean, like
I don't know. That's
the Yankees. I think had a much better offense in the '90s, and they still had guys like Andy Pettitte, who were generational talents as pitchers too, and they had Rivera. So it's like, yeah, it's.
That's just I don't know. It's just I don't know if you'd want to. It's different if you have a team like okay, we pulled it together. We're kind of always good, and then we pull through like the Caps did, and you win one.
Right.
Or you're like a team like the Braves who like should have won 4 or 5 World Series, and they only scratched out one. It's like the '85 Bears. That team should have won 2
Probably won 2 or 3.
at least 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I sort of feel that way about the Astros right now, where you have multiple World Series losses on on like a lineup that should have been
Killer
destroying
lineup.
everyone.
Yeah, killer lineup.
And pitching.
Pitching
for that
too.
matter. They didn't get
Like,
it with Garrett Cole and Verlander that year.
Like had the Aikman Cowboys only got 1 Super Bowl out of that team, that's a failure.
I don't think winning a Super Bowl.
You get a Super Bowl, but if you only got 1 in the '90s with that team.
I don't know if it's I don't even know if it's because you win a Super Bowl. I think you take the championship. I don't think it's disappointing if they do it. If they don't, then it's a failure. Then it's a disappointment if they don't do it.
Is it a failure? Okay, is it a failure if they lost 3 of the 4 Super Bowls they were in? Or is it a failure they just won a Super Bowl but never made it to the other Super Bowls? Because it's a failure, right? If you lost 3 of the 4, it's a failure. Like the Braves did with the Yankees.
God, I still
because you're there, so
because you're there.
Yeah.
But had you not even sniffed the playoffs and then you won one and then you never sniffed them again, that's awesome.
See, that's why I'm not too bummed about whatever happens with this year's Mavericks because they were a 5th seed. Like before the trade deadline, they weren't going to make the play-in before the trade deadline. So
it was like when the Nationals won the World Series in 2019. Right. That was house money from the All-Star break on. It was
And I will say that one thing I'm happy about that the Mavs didn't get swept and they won Game 4 so big. I think the one funny thing from all that was I noticed a tweet from a Boston sports guy who was like, well, look, okay, the last time the Celtics won the championship was June 17th, 2008. And since then, Bill Russell, John Havlicek, and name some other player have passed away. And their numbers are 6, 17, 24. And I'm like, you're going to the Miss Cleo stats. That's how much Luka scared you with that 38-point win. You're now going to you're immediately going. You lose one game, and you're immediately going to the Miss Cleo.
They start becoming numerologists or whatever they fucking call themselves.
You're in the Miss Cleo stats. That's where they're going. At least I'll be happy about that. At least we forced that hand. We forced him to run the fucking Walter Mercado stats. I'll take that. All right, I ain't mad at that. But see, you say failure. Even if they win it, even if they win one, the Braves, you would consider that '90s Braves team to have.
I think that '90s Braves team is a failure with that rotation to only have one World Series. You have legitimately, 3 or 4 Hall of Fame pitchers on that rotation?
At least.
That's a failure to have one World Series.
How much
that's a failure.
They only made it to 2, right?
They beat the Cleveland Indians.
They lost to the Yankees.
They lost,
I think just once to the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees.
I thought they lost twice to the Yankees.
It's not like the Yankees were like the Cowboys and the Bills with them. I don't think that's how it was.
All right, let's see. So the Braves made the World Series in 91, 92, 96 and 99.
Jesus.
So they went 4. They also had the Twins, the Yankees.
91 was the Twins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they played the Twins in 91, the Blue Jays in 92, the Yankees in 96, the Yankees again in 99.
So the Yankees beat them twice.
They beat Cleveland in 95, right?
Yeah.
94, 95?
Yes.
94.
Oh, so yeah, so I that was in a different column. Yeah, so they made it in 91, 92, 95, 96, and 99.
So they went to 5 World Series and won 1 with that rotation.
That's a failure for sure.
That's a failure.
I don't know. Is it?
That's a failure.
God,
that's
tough
a failure.
For me I would just say you take it. Because if you were to ask any Buffalo Bills fan, hey, would you take what happened to everyone else if you beat the Giants at one time? They'd be yes, absolutely. If Norwood's kick was good, they would be right now. If you go back in time.
No,
now,
I think If in hindsight, yes. But if they beat the Giants that first Super Bowl and then lost 3 straight Super Bowls, I think people look at it as a failure of that team.
But I'm saying since they didn't win one, if you were to go back and tell them, we'll give you the Giants, and you still get crushed by. So I don't know that.
In hindsight.
Let's say the Braves lost all of them, and then you could go right now to a Braves fan and say, we'll give you one.
We'll give you one. And really, with that rotation?
But wouldn't you take it? If they say, okay,
you would in hindsight,
right?
But if you look, if history plays out the way it did, it's a failure.
I think that's why I say it's not, because you still have that one.
I think if you had that Buffalo Bills team that went to 4 straight Super Bowls and they did beat the Giants, and that field goal goes through and they beat the Giants and then lose 3 consecutive Super Bowls.
Because let's be honest, the Giants was the only one they had a chance with. That was the only one
that wasn't a blowout.
Right.
But they lose the other 3 in blowout fashion. That's a failure, I think. Because they dominated the regular season all 4 years. They were the best team in football 4 straight seasons.
Yeah.
No one was
Cody,
even close.
your Spurs beat the Knicks and no one else with that team. Is it a failure?
Oh, yeah.
You think so? You wouldn't take the championship and be happy.
Not when you appear in the finals another handful of times. No way.
You got to win them.
That means you're right
there. You got
there.
to win them.
Yeah.
So Jordan wins one NBA title out of the 6 that he's in. You consider him the greatest of all time?
No, I think Chicago fans would still be happy with it, though. It would hurt his legacy, absolutely.
If they lost 5 NBA titles and only won one,
yeah,
I don't think they'd be happy. Not when you consider the.
I think they would be happy they had that one.
I don't think so, because
we're
at the point now
when you're there.
See, here's the thing. Because I come from one team that has a legacy, and then all the others I root for did it one time. So that's why I'm like, shit, I'll take the one. But now, granted, Dirk was at the end of his prime when they won that one. So it's not like they were just going to keep going back. It's like, so I understand if like the Mavs were just
greatness is
year.
defined by multiple titles being won, not one single title. Greatness success as opposed to failure is defined by how many titles that are won.
And I think you're okay with the one if you like go for broke and totally go for it in a year. Not when you're like having the same core of a team and then reloading and adding to it.
Right.
Like had the Mavericks been the Utah Jazz through the 90s.
That would have been devastating.
And only won one, you'd be like, fuck.
I still would have, but I think it's not fair because I would have been happy because Eddie, you remember how bad they were in the 90s.
Yes.
You remember how bad the Mavericks were.
Cody,
I know. Your first memories of basketball was watching the Spurs obliterate them night in and night out. Like, the Mavericks were terrible. They were a laughingstock for decades.
Right.
And then they won one. So I think, like,
and then, that one seems awesome. But if you're dominant, if you put together a team that be like, this is the greatest team in a generation.
Right.
This is amazing. You're never going to have this. You're going to live another 50 years and never have a team assembled like this. And you only win one title, you're like, well, that was a failure. This was our window to win multiple titles.
If they're there all the time, I get like so. Obviously,
like if the Yankees had played in all those World Series that they've played in and only have one World Series championship, that's a failure of an organization.
For that team, you think is a failure? That era.
If they've been to 40 some odd World Series,
you're telling me the Utah Jazz fans right now would take beating the Bulls one time. You think they would still think that was still a failure, though? Because
with that team, the team they thought they had at the time, yeah. Brady has one Super Bowl out of 10 trips.
But they go all the time? They go 10 times?
But they go all the time? Is he considered the greatest quarterback of all time?
No. There's no way. It's Montana without question, if that's the case.
Right.
It's Montana, no question.
He's a failure in the biggest stage, in the biggest game. Because he only won 1 out of 10.
Even if he think
about like in the NBA, think about like Pop versus Jerry Sloan in terms of like the best coaches of all time.
It's not even close, Cody.
Yeah, and Jerry Sloan had appearances, right? He had finals appearances. Extremely successful, but
okay, time out. But in Jerry Sloan's defense, like Popovich had maybe one of the best cores when you shouldn't have had one, when it should have just been Shaq and Kobe, right? And then he put together one of the best cores ever. And then Jerry Sloan put all that together with a child rapist and a COVID denier. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
That is spectacular.
To put
people don't look at that.
To put that run together with a child rapist.
They keep that door locked in the Hall of Fame. They don't let you in that section.
Like, that's what he did. But no, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, it's you. And I don't know what happens if Popovich never existed and Jerry Sloan won all those titles with the Spurs. Or what if Jerry Sloan were the Spurs coach and they never got over the hump? Is that possible? Do you think that's possible too? Do you think you give somebody that much talent, they could still fuck it up as a coach? And Eddie's saying it has happened with the Braves. It has happened
Bobby
with
Cox.
Bobby Cox. So you think Bobby Cox he was the Dave Campo of the Atlanta Braves.
He kind of was. Great pitching always beats great hitting.
Every time.
Except in the case of the Braves.
Right.
Who did that Minnesota Twins team have besides what's
Kirby Puckett.
Besides Kirby Puckett.
I'm gonna look at that lineup here.
Who did the Blue Jays have?
Killebrew, but he was like in the 60s.
Blue Jays had Joe Carter. That was it. Who else did the Blue Jays have?
Yeah, that was.
How does that Braves rotation lose? How does it lose to the Blue Jays in '92?
No, that's a great question. That may be the
That's
all-time,
a failure. That's a failure.
I mean, you're talking me into this. I'm starting to get talked into this. Like, I'm just
like if your team is nothing and it wins one, that's success. If your team is dominant for a certain span of time and they only grab one out of a window that should have 6 or 7 chances at it, that's a failure.
Ooh, man, you're talking me into this. You're so
like had LeBron won every single finals he was ever in, he'd be the greatest of all time, no question asked.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's flip it. Let's just take the 92 Cowboys with Jimmy Johnson and make that Washington's team. And they only win one Super Bowl. Are you pissed at that team? Are you pissed at that era?
Yes, I'm pissed at that team. I still am pissed that they didn't beat the Raiders in Super Bowl 18 because that would have cemented their legacy as the team of the 80s.
That's right. They would have been.
But because they lost to that to that shitty Jim Plunkett Raiders team
and took it. The
Niners took it. So I'm still pissed. That would have been back-to-back titles. Wow. That would have given Joe Gibbs 4 championships and one back-to-back, would have elevated him to the Mount Rushmore of coaches. Instead, he's maybe mentioned in the top 10. Had he won that one Super Bowl, he would be elevated to probably the top 4 or 5 coaches ever to coach the game.
Right.
But that's the difference that one game makes. He won 3 Super Bowls.
But I do think the one championship also elevates it because now, I don't know, had they not won one, I don't think you put Dirk and Garnett over Barkley or Malone. But now I think you do. I think it's Tim Duncan, and then it's either Dirk or Garnett. Like, but had they not
over
won
Barkley,
one, but they won that one. Had they not won that one,
it's not the difference between winning one and not winning one. It's the difference between winning one when you could have won 4. Or
right,
whatever.
Yeah, right. Because Dirk, there's no way Dirk had a chance to win 4.
Right.
And you could argue Barkley had a chance to win 2 or 3.
He did.
And Malone damn sure had a chance to win a few.
Yeah.
Like
he should have won at least 2.
Man,
the Jazz should have won 2.
I think the thing here is like 1 is better than 0, but 3 is better than 1.
Yeah.
Yes, there it is. Right, and then if you
one can still be a failure.
It can still be a letdown. Yeah.
A letdown. Maybe failure is too strong of a word, but a letdown for sure.
Yeah, because I was going to ask. So, Cody, let's say your Spurs with that core only won 1. You'd still be happy with that 1, wouldn't you?
You would. I think you can have both of these things be true, which is like you're happy that you have the 1, but you're still disappointed
but when you have
or upset that you could
a generational talent like Tim Duncan, and you only got one NBA title out of the 5 you were in or 6 you were in or whatever it was.
Right. Well, they only lost one finals, didn't they?
Yeah,
the Spurs only lost 1.
Yeah, 2013 against the Heat.
That was it. So they were 5-1 all time in the finals. That's incredible. Like you obviously now okay, but on the other hand, so does 5-1 in your lifetime? How many years of not being good does that buy you?
Oh, it buys a good decade for sure.
Would you be okay if they just pulled the Dallas Cowboys and didn't win anything for 25 more years?
I mean,
would you be like, oh, you know what? Fuck that, man. They were the best fucking team in the night. Like,
I think so. I think 5 is a lot.
5's a lot. 5's a lot.
5 is a lot.
5 in my lifetime is a lot.
I'm happy with. I get bummed, but I saw the Cowboys win 3 in 4 years. I'm like, this sucks, but I
saw Washington win 3. I'm still cheer every year and I get disappointed, but I'm never like. I'm not like a Cleveland fan or a Detroit fan that has no idea what it's like.
The Spurs won 3 in 5 years.
That was incredible.
And then like when you thought it was done, came back and won one like 7 years later.
7 years later, they just what the fuck?
Yeah,
that's when
they reloaded
was like
in that amount of time.
It was like holy shit, and it was with the same core. All they did was add Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, well, Lakers did that too. They had that run with Shaq and Kobe, and then reloaded with Pau Gasol and Kobe,
and it was like,
and won back-to-back.
Yeah.
You can do that in the NBA. Well, other leagues, other than the Patriots with Brady, I don't know any team that's sort of like had a mini dynasty,
maybe
sucked for a little while, reloaded.
I don't know if hockey that's even happened. I don't know. Man, This is fast. Look, I'm just going to say it. This is the best sports talk you're ever going to get anywhere. and this is a show that primarily deals with Transformers and Marvel. And
we haven't brought up Caitlin Clark yet. We could get some views.
Well, we might as well get some pops here. Just talk about her and like what. I mean, yeah. I mean, okay. You both are talking me into this. I think it's because I was spoiled with the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
And
you got a little gold with the Mavericks.
And the Stars and the Rangers. I mean, the Cowboys, Eddie, I'm sorry. But look, I hate saying this because it sounds the minute they signed Charles Haley, we fucking knew. Sorry to be cocky Cowboys fan, but the second Charles Haley signed to that team, I was like, if we stay healthy, nobody's beating us.
I knew it was when you guys signed Dion. I was like, okay. Because that's the way it was then. The Niners signed him, they won, and then next year the Cowboys signed him, and they won. I'm like, okay, well, you guys.
Here's a third one when we got Dion.
Yeah.
But when they signed Haley, and then when the Stars signed Brett Hull, that I knew it. I don't think any Stars. I mean, I remember the cover of the Dallas Morning News sports page. They did a special edition, and it was Hull, Madonna, and Neuendijk. And it said, "Hey, Detroit, try stopping this," or something like that. Because Detroit was a team we could never get past. And then and it was just like, oh, and they won it. The Mavericks and the Rangers were my favorite championships because everyone thought the Mavs were going to get Dwight Howard that offseason. And I will say this, it sounds absurd now, but as a fan, we settled for Tyson Chandler. And I remember when that offseason ended, my buddy called me and said, well, you know what? At least let's just be happy we got to see Dirk. He was one of the all-time great power forwards. It's a shame he's never going to win one. That was the conversation we had in preseason, and then they ended up winning a title. And then same with the Rangers. It was like, where the fuck did they come from?
But that's the thing is that the Rangers are building right now, where they've got a core, they've got pitching coming that's going to be really strong.
Yeah.
So if you have your one World Series last year, and then the next 3 or 4 years the Rangers make it and don't win, would you feel satisfied with that one World Series, or would you see that lineup, those appearances, and be disappointed in that?
I think I would be. I'm not gonna. Yeah, you're right. That would be a little disappointing. Like,
yeah. If they went to like the next 4 out of 7 World Series and didn't win any of them, you'd be like,
if the Mavericks somehow win this title, right, and then they get even better, but never win another one with Luka, I'll be like, what the fuck?
Because you feel like you wasted the Luka years and only got one title out of it.
Right, we got the one title. Like, now if they lose this and then reload and then Luka rattles off a few, fuck it, great, awesome. But
it's the catalyst that knocked them forward. But like, if it's your one and then there's a dynasty that never gets it again, it's a failure.
That's interesting. I get.
And we're back to the Braves.
I think I said letdown, not failure. That's just so harsh for the Braves.
It's a failure.
It's true, man. 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5
with that rotation. With that rotation.
Oh,
and a good offense too, right?
And a decent offense.
Yeah,
a decent offense.
Caliber guys.
Who's it? Chipper Jones was their guy, right?
Chipper, Andrew
Justice Jones.
Oh God, Andrew Jones. Oh fuck.
David Justice.
Yeah. No, y'all, you've convinced me. I think you're right. That Braves team was a letdown because they could have gotten more, and they
should have gotten more.
You think they should have beaten the Yankees with that lineup, though?
They should have beaten the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and who'd they lose to? The Twins and the Blue Jays?
Twins and the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat the Indians that one season, and the Indians had a monster lineup on offense.
That's right. Was that Albert Bell or no?
That was Bell, Eddie Murray. God, it was like literally. I think the whole lineup hit over 300 that year. I think it was like one of the only lineups to ever hit over 300 the whole season. Wow. The entire order hit over 300, which was insane. But good pitching always beats good hitting, except in the case of the Braves. Then the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees were stacked too, but like it should at least evened out a little.
No excuse against Toronto or Minnesota.
No. Toronto? Joe Carter? I don't know of another player on that team other than Joe Carter.
I can't name anyone else besides Kirby Puckett and Joe Carter. That's it.
I mean, I know the Blue Jays won back-to-back World Series in 92-93.
That's true.
So they were obviously a good team, but
good. By the way, we have an email from Max calling. We're going to get to it next Ramble Radio because it's about the Acolyte. So we'll save it for that. But Brian Hill says, "Greeting fellow Ramblers. I want to know, Seahawks fan 87, when we'll get Eddie's harmonica back? I miss hearing his music, and I can't get enough of it. So Cody, get back here. Thanks for all the laughs. Come to Castle Park in Riverside for Halloween season. Love you guys. Love you too, buddy. Thank you." So there's that. That's just so we know, just so it's out there. We miss Eddie's harmonica. Who doesn't? But all right, so
I miss it.
We did it. We solved.
We did it.
We solved sports. We
taught you how to hate your favorite team for no reason. Because they were successful. We taught you to.
We taught you to be disappointed.
Like a good fan, to hate your successful team.
The team that could have. Shit, they could have done it. But you're kind of right though. It's like the Celtics, the Lakers, Duke, North Carolina. They don't put up with any. Oh, we all made good for us. We almost did it.
Shaq and Kobe had one NBA title. That's a failure.
The Yankees don't put up with that shit. The Yankees are like, fuck you, won. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's true. I mean, that's the Yankees will fire a guy after winning a World Series.
Yeah.
Like, it's just oh man. All right, well there we go. Well, now, as great as this has been, we do have contractual. Cody, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your first one back, and oh, by the way, real quick.
Yeah.
These fucking people were at 146 5-star ratings. We're still deadlocked at Hiccup 04's positive text. We're hoping that changes. But thank you. Subscribe to the Ramble. 5-star
we're not holding our breath.
Positive text review. All right, now down to the
Skeletor. We were just talking about some of our favorite teams and dynasties and whatnot. Are you a diehard sports fan?
Eddie, that's a wonderful question, and I'm glad that you've asked me that. No, because I'm a participant. So yes, I love the game, but I'm not the. I can't really separate myself. I'm in there lacing them up every night. So it's hard for me to just sit back and be a casual fan when I'm out there, giving it my all, giving it 110%, every time I'm out there, taking it a game at a time. And go ahead. You want to know what the sport is? Come on, go ahead.
What sport?
It's what we call queef ball. So what you do is they have a little ball on a tee, and then I try to anal queef it as far as I can. That's what it is. It's queef ball. It's I play against dying children. It's their wish come true. And I dominate. Queef ball. And we play in a dome that seats over 900,000 Eternians. And we're sold out every game. Now, I bet you're wondering. Go ahead. Where could you fit a dome that big in Eternia? Go ahead, Eddie. Ask.
Where could you fit a dome that big?
He-Man's mother's pussy! Because it's so big, you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Sorry, Cody. Jeez.
It's fine.
Man.
Yeah. I guess you can find me at Cinestomp Cody.
There you go.
Places.
Yeah.
Cinestomp Podcast, wherever you get podcasts.
Let's get the Cinestomp Podcast on the goddamn Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Cody.
We need it.
Loquisha needs to be righted.
Loquisha needs to be fixed.
It's the only thing keeping that movie from being
That's all it's missing.
a classic.
All that's missing.
You guys are going to prevent a sequel from happening because you're stubborn.
Thank you, because you're doing this. Exactly.
Because you're doing this.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
I grade the queef ball cards if you guys are interested.
Not.
I don't think so.
Okay. There it is.
Mint condition, I swear. I do. Some of them I'll queef on, though. It's, of course, for the fans.
Is that like the autographed editions?
I guess.
It's gross. Catch me the Ralph Report on Patreon.com 5 days a week. Tuesdays, Fridays, Ramble Radio. Wednesdays, Ramble Proper. And on Fridays, I also have Not Today with Jen Sturger.
Look at that. You can follow me on any of those places. The rambling locales Eddie and Cody are at. I'm also streaming Twitch and Kick at Retro Rocha and just my name on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow for a Ramble Proper. And then Friday for a Ramble Radio. Thank you for tuning in. We love you all. Stay safe. Until next time. Bye.